Hey y'all, it's just so Trish, and I'm going to answer some questions, or maybe not answer questions, show you some of the differences between Lifepac and Christian Light Education. Here's Christian Light Education. Here's what Lifepac looks like. Sorry for the glare. It's a glossy cover. All of these are mine. They're used. Bubba did this in his first grade, and these are actually Lottie's from this year. I pulled out, let me first go with why I would compare Lifepac and Christian Light is because Christian Light actually bought Lifepac's first edition, I believe, rights, and they used that curriculum to create their own, and has since gone through several revisions. Sometimes the conversation comes up that Christian Light is essentially Lifepac recovered. Not the case at all. So to try and make this comparable, I took first grade units 2, 3, and 4. So let me talk about how they are the same. The goal of both programs is to work individually or independently, and the other aspect is they are work text, which means everything's in the workbook. What you learn and what you do is all in one work text versus having a textbook and a workbook. The other aspect is the way that the program's laid out. It's 10 light units per grade per subject. So in Lifepac, language arts would have 10 of these units, and that equals your whole first grade year of language arts. Christian Light Education would have 10 units of their reading, and that would equal out. But it actually doesn't quite work exactly that way. But it kind of runs across the board equivalent. So the difference with Christian Light Education is they actually do 10 units of learning to read, and then they follow it up by 5 units of reading. So it's kind of a little bit more compressed. The other thing that's different is when you come to... Oh, I gotta get her. Okay, so hopefully I know where I'm at. Maybe I don't. Oh, so these are kind of not quite as... I know where I'm at. Alright. This Lifepac has 10 of these units for grade 1 plus a couple of reading books. I do not have the readers anymore. I did get rid of them. Christian Light, to cover the same topic, uses 10 learning to read plus 10 language arts plus the readers. Wait. 10 learning to read, 10 language arts books to use in adjacent with these, plus 5 reading books or reading work text books. So it's a lot more. But I'm going to tell you right off the bat why this is important. It is in the first grade, Addie. So first grade is really emphasized on learning to read independently, to be a strong reader, because that pretty much continues your time in Christian Light Education to allow them to be self-educating, which is, if you watch my bio on homeschooling, is a true belief of mine. So this is like huge, where the skills come in that make them independent. So, and I'm excited. I won't even go into that. So these booklets run around $3.50 a piece, or $5.50 a piece, and these booklets run around $3.50. First grade, I believe Christian Light Education is a little bit more when it comes to the language arts and reading, but it's definitely worth it. So this is the look, a side-by-side comparison to the two of them. You're going to notice very quickly, Addie, you're going to notice very quickly the lack of color. This has not been a problem yet for my children. Actually, the lack of color has been very helpful. So, Here we go to the 2 table of contents. You're going to notice there's only about 32 pages in that. There's 32 pages in the Lifepac. There's actually 65 pages in the Christian Light Education. Christian Light Education is broken up by lesson numbers. Theirs is broken up by sections. Alright, so it's broken up by section. For me, Lifepac has a very, I'm going to go through Lifepac first, has a very kind of comic book, heavily graphic, this is all the instruction is in the teacher's manual. I no longer have the teacher's manual. This is their handwriting. So this is where you'd read with your teachers, mark the ones different. Here's a lesson. So we'll come back to that. So it's very colorful. It looks great, doesn't it? There's another lesson on questions. I had to start kind of adding and I'm going to be honest, this font, I can't stand this font. So here you go. Here's one book. You get into exclamation marks. For me now, looking back at it, it just feels like there's no rhyme or reason. Here's your reading words. You're going to notice a big difference with Christian Light. So, into book 2, you have a review. You're reviewing these words and you're reviewing your sounds. Here is doing some reading, associating words to the picture that fits, matching phonetics, recognizing the sounds. You begin doing dot maps. You begin recognizing the ones that are different. So a lot of pre-reading. Then you go into introducing the sounds, handwriting again. With these, there's actually a story that goes with this, and then these pictures were used for comprehension. But you're going to notice really quick that Christian Light keeps a very similar pattern to its lessons. So you can really get into detail and see these pages awesome on the website that they have. They have samples and you can click on them. But like writing your name was the practice of writing. You go into discriminating the words to the picture. Discriminating what begins. And at this point we'd only learned or introduced 5 sounds. Again, being able to read the words. Being able to do some sight word recognition. Doing some sound families. Doing more recognitions for recognizing words. And then you go back into it again. So that's really how it pans out. This is book 2. It's very systematic. It's very routine based. There's not a lot of guessing between going in. So what I wanted to show you here was, so that's one of their lessons. So they're right into statements. While Christian Light is nice and slow. And there's some people who are like, this is too slow, I'm past this. But it's definitely worth it's worth spending the time to get this right the first time. Because either you have time to do it right or you have time to do it over. And I have had to do it over. So the pictures are very beautifully done. These are all grayscale. It just has a red tone to it. And then you have a review of the test. At the back, they keep a list for you. So if you wanted to, you can, I know some people laminate them. And this is your site, doing your words that were in your list. So the kids get to cut these out, which you can see we never cut out. Alright, so that's book 2. So maybe it's just a fluke. So here is Unit 3 for Lifepac. That kind of comic feel again. You're getting into the th sound. And you kind of, this is their introduction to blends in Unit 3. Or not blends, diagraphs. Unit 3 is still making sure they understand, have honed in their ability to sound it out. So it is very much more the same from the last book. But it's very much, you are going to have this mastered. You're going to keep moving on, but you're going to master. And I will say, for my daughter, she had a good sense of her. Hey, will you get the baby? So for Lottie had a good sense of the sounds of the letters. So there's some days that we did 2 lessons a day. And there's some days that it took us 2 days to do 1 lesson. But for the most part, we did that. And it was a nice ease into it. I'm going to tell you, she reads like a champ now. So it's just like really the chapter before. It doesn't, you're recognizing between, this was being able to recognize between I, O, and A. But really just a nice flow. And reading, and see that real reading, like a story reading. So this is Unit 3. You're learning your diagraphs. And they kind of throw right into there about the TCH, but they don't tell you why. So contractions are happening already. It's a lot of sight words in here. Here's a lesson about learning plurals and possessives, which in my opinion is very early. It's kind of more like 2nd grade. You get into soft C, hard. So this is their approach to teaching it in compound words. And for me, I feel like it moved too quickly and jumped around. So that was book 3. Here's book 4 for Lifepac. You learn in blends. And maybe this is your thing and you like it and you're comfortable. Good for you. Awesome. We couldn't make it work for us. I don't feel like it really holds much of a comparison. I think although they quickly and hurriedly introduce it, they don't give them the time to really master it. So when you get to book 4 for learning to read, you're still making sure you've mastered the alphabet. With W, with L, you review. Now you're having the fun to find the words, doing a little word search in there. Son. You're doing different sounds, but you see there begins to be a lot of reading. So there's like 1 page just for reading. The tests are in the middle. We didn't do this test because she passed the self-check. So I find there's a side-by-side. You can see they are completely different, Although they might have started from the same place, they are not the same. And beware, because at convention, there have been Alpha and Omega people that sell Lifepac that just say, oh, Christian Light, that's just our program that they put their own cover on and they take the color out. So it's definitely not the same. So I hope this answers that question for you, how they're not the same. And how they definitely have completely different techniques. They have in their way of approaching. It feels like this one's kind of stay up with the trend with the whole new way of doing school. So let me get that baby. And I'll come back and I'll actually do a full video on just learning to read.